So I had to go at building something that isn't shit. There it is. And I think I did it. I actually designed this one. Put it in a 3D model and everything. Here it is. It's a mini table. Say you're working on the sofa, you can put this over your lap, have your laptop, iPad, whatever you want. Do some little workies. Do some little typies. I don't know. The world is your oyster with this table. Don't know what else there is to report on it, really. That's all it is. It's a table. But I'm pretty proud of it. Came out nice. I even told my mum. Her reaction was underwhelming, if I'm honest. I'll put it here on the YouTubes, and then I can get some more underwhelming reactions. Be even sadder. So that's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these big blocks. My table saw won't cut this fully, which isn't ideal, obviously. So I'm going to have to do it in 2 passes. Just show you what I mean first. So let's take the table saw, raise it all the way up to its highest point. If I push the wood up against it, you can see I'm not going to make it all the way through. So what I'm going to do is lower the blade to about halfway up, and then I'll run it through that way, then I'll flip it long ways, run it through again. Excellent. There we go. Stage 2, I'm going to run through the faces that are sawed, and then once all faces are flat, I'm going to put it up against here, do the edge. So here we go. It's not bad. I think with a bit of glue that'll be okay. Once I've tightened, I'm going to get some of this sawdust. Just put it in every crease and crevice, crack and crevice. Okay, next day. I think it should have dried. It's quite cold, so I left it a whole day. That's pretty good. I've got my mask on. Oh, okay. Now I've only got to sand one side of it. I'm only doing it so that I can then run it through the table saw, because it's currently too wide to go through the planer. Now what you'll notice is I've got 3 boards here that are all the same width. So I can't just take the full amount off of one board, otherwise I'll have 1 small and 2 the same. So what I want to do is take the same amount off of the 2 outside boards. So this is 27.2, and I want to get it to 25. So it's 2.2 over, so I need to take 1.1 off of each side. So the first cut I want to do is 26.1 centimeters, I think. So there's one cut. Now we go to final width, 25. Flip the board, do it the other way around. Looks like it needs another pass. Very smooth. Very happy with that. I need to figure out what we're doing next. I think I'm thicknessing next. Take this side that we just ran through the planer. That's going to go right along the bed. And then we should get the same on top. Okay, well, I made a mess. This is actually after I've filled this bin as well. So, yeah, lots of mess everywhere. But what we've got are 2 really nice boards with no variations in height. They're proper flat, 25mm thick exactly. Next step is chop off the ends, get 1 square end, then we'll cut them to final length, and then we can move on to building the leg assembly.
Okay, so it's probably quite obvious that these are fake noises because the mic died here, but what I'm doing in this clip, I'm explaining that I'm going to try and cut the two tapered legs out of one block. And to do that, I need to take the width of the two legs plus the thickness of my saw blade. So that was what I was measuring there, and I'm just cutting that to the final width, and then I can cut across a diagonal using this fancy sort of jig here. So you can see I've drawn the taper I need here. Then I'm going to stick down some tape and some blocks of wood with some clamps on them. That's going to act as a quick jig to cut these tapers, and then I can just put the leg in to these clamps, run it through the table saw. I can then flip the leg over once I've made that cut, as you can see right here, and then that'll let me cut the taper on two sides of the leg. So that's all that's happening here.
Okay, hopefully try and hold this steady. We can see that I've got 4 legs there. Got 2 pieces. They're going to form the long parts of the frame. This is going to be cut into 2 cross battens. So there's the frame, there's the top. Just to join all this together now, I'm still figuring out how that's going to happen. I don't know how. I'm going to try and explain the angles that are going on here. So, because the table sits on these legs, and these legs all have a taper to them that you saw me cut earlier. So it's not as simple as the legs sitting upright like this, because I've decided to be a moron and lean it in like that. So I've got the taper, but I've also got this lean. I'm going to lean it in at the same degree as this taper. So if you imagine this is sat there, it's going to lean in that way, and the same there, it's going to lean in that way. Now what that means is, when I lean it in, if I do an exaggerated lean, you can see that the top obviously is no longer square. So I have to cut that at an angle. I have to do that uniformly across all of them. But I think what I'm going to do is just use my offcut wedges, put it against my fence in 2 directions. So wedge in. Don't want to mess this up because I can't remake these. Let's think this through. That's the top. Yeah. Bugger it. Yes. That was correct. Good. I've decided that the joinery is a little too difficult for my little pea brain at the minute. So what I'm going to do instead is cut the corresponding angle on the bottom of this, which is still too difficult for my little pea brain, but I can at least try. So if you've seen any of my videos before, you know that I don't measure. I try and just reference. So what I'm trying to do, this is the top of my leg. What I want to do is figure out what angle I need to cut off the end of my brace to have it be parallel with the top of my leg. And it turns out I need 2 tapers. So you can see here I've got my 2 offcuts. You can see that that line is now straight. So to cut that correctly, I need to offset it on my 90-degree sled by 2 of these wedges. I'm going to test this piece here. We'll come back and see if that's worked. And this is looking pretty good. If I now line up my piece, look at that. I can then put my stop block in. That's going to work in theory. 2 cross pieces that are exactly the same. There you go, now you can see it together. Hopefully that makes a bit more sense. Leg, cross brace, leg, all at the same angle thanks to those wedges. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take off material from either side of this until I've got 10mm left. That should be perfect. Okay, so let's give that a go. So you can hopefully see that I've got a little tenon on the end of each end. Right, what I've done is I've put a stop block here, which is the furthest point I want to cut. I'm then going to shift it over slowly until I get to the desired width that's going to accept that. Once I've found that, I'm going to put a stop block there. And then I should be able to just take the other 4 legs, push it up there, cycle, 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 until I hit that stop block, and then have 4 repeated channels. It's looking pretty good. So, we're set. We'll just repeat now. The first one went in really nicely and snug. Look at that. Excellent. The second one seems like it needs a bit more convincing. So this one isn't as neat on the shoulder, as you can see. Didn't quite nail that one. Right, here we go. Got 2 assembled legs. They're looking pretty good. There were some errors, although I can't currently see which one it was on. But what I've done since, I just cut the third piece down to 20 centimeters long. I temporarily put it together like this. And actually, I really like how it looks with the top sat sort of elevated above the legs. So I'm going to try and change the design a bit now to have this be the fixed position. Ah! Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm just going to notch out a little bit so that can sit on there, which means that I can go ahead and glue these up as they are now. So they haven't dried, I don't think, but I'm impatient. So I'm going to attach the brace pieces on as well. So all I have to do tomorrow, once this is all dried, is stick the top on. Right, okay, this is where I could potentially stuff up the whole build, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to chamfer the edge. Bugger it, no time like the present. I take a very small chamfer off of the top. Forgot to film the first coat, but here's how dark it goes. I'm using Osmo top oil. Seems to have brought out some imperfections, so I'll try and figure out if that's going to stay, but hopefully it dries a bit lighter. Oh, pretty good for me. Some little droids. Maybe you want some food on it. I don't know.